Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you here, so many. Some people I know, some others I recognize by the faces, and some are new to me. Excuse me for not remembering names of everybody. Well, this seminar is about social franchising in Europe, and if you don't know what it is about, you will learn this afternoon. But I would say it's part of the family of social economy and social enterprise. It's quite trendy in the European Union. It's in the structural funds, the new regulations. There is a social business initiative that was launched end last year by Commissioner Barnier, and social franchising is, I would say, part of those initiatives, part of the different measures that the Commission wants to do. This is a seminar organized by, well, I should say, the Swedish authorities, the Swedish ESF authorities, whose general manager is Åsa Lind. She's standing beside me, and I'm going to give her the floor shortly. I just want to say that other people have been working on this seminar. There is a thematic group on entrepreneurship. There is the people with the so-called SPL. I myself, being a moderator, but also a president of the REV network, the European Network for Local Authorities, Regional Authorities and Social Economy, has also been involved. But it's, of course, foremost, absolutely the European Social Fund who is supporting the initiative. And by those words, I leave the mic with you, Åsa.
Thank you so much. As Jan said, I'm Åsa Lind. I'm Director General for the Swedish ESF Council, and we are...
Excuse me.
Well, it's almost correct or the same. We are the managing authority for the European Social Fund in Sweden, just to get it absolutely correct. I will speak a little bit about the involvement of social economy and social enterprises in the Swedish ESF program. And I'd say that the social economy has been very active in the Swedish program, both in the present program period, but also in previous program periods. And I do believe that structural funds, and probably in particular the European Social Fund, has meant a lot in Sweden for the awareness of the possibility to start and develop social enterprises. It has not always been easy, of course, to handle the requirements for liquidity, for example, is challenging and has been quite tough. In spite of that, in the present program we have some 400 projects which are actually run by organizations from the non-profit sector. And the budget of those projects sum up to as much as 18% of the total allocated ESF funds in Sweden. So I'd say that is good. And of course many more organizations from the social economy are involved also in other projects as partners. Some 70 projects have a specific focus on social entrepreneurship. And I think I dare say that at least 30 new social enterprises has started in this program period as a result of ESF financing. I myself, I'm very much convinced that entrepreneurship and not the least work-integrated social enterprises will play a more important and an additional role on the Swedish labour market. And this will hopefully lead to a more broadened labour market, a more permissive, a more conclusive environment for more people. At the same time, if we talk about the social fund, I do believe it's time to take the next step. Since social enterprising is no longer something new, not even in Sweden. And we have to use all the experience and all the knowledge that we have gained together. The social enterprises really need to improve networking, for example, in connection with tendering. And I believe that social franchising could very well be one way to go and to take this next step. Social enterprises also, as we all know, need to improve on some different areas. The role of being an employer, leadership, marketing, business development, and so on. On the other hand, we in the public sector and also the business sector needs to learn more, to understand more about social economy and social enterprising. And my experience is that the knowledge is often surprisingly low, both in the public sector and in the business sector. We need to study results, we need to study effects more thoroughly. And of course we have the issue of financing. It has to be there for the start, for the first years. Talking about social franchising, we have at least one project in Sweden focusing on developing the concept of social franchising. The project Explosion is run by Companion in Göteborg, Gothenburg. Sven Battersson is sitting here, the project leader. I will just mention that I find the transnational approach in that project very interesting, with the ambition to build on models already well known in other European countries like CASA or Lemat and so on. And I would also like to take this opportunity to mention that we have put a lot of effort into increasing the interest of transnational cooperation in the Swedish program. And starting from a very, very low level, at present almost 40% of the projects have a transnational partner and a transnational cooperation, so we are very happy for that. And I believe that the way that Explosion is working with their transnational partners is a good example how transnational cooperation can lead to and contribute to social innovation. We know that the plan for the future program period is approaching very rapidly. Not so much has been finally, formally decided yet, as we know. What seems to be clear is that the Commission wants to stimulate social enterprising. So let's hope that will happen in the end. Meanwhile, we have decided to be a partner in the new learning network on social entrepreneurship. If it will be approved, hopefully sometime in December. And this covers being part of building a national partnership among Swedish agencies, Swedish organizations, supporting social entrepreneurship. So, to conclude, I'm sure that the social economy, social entrepreneurship will be important also in the coming period, maybe even more important. So I'm looking forward to see or follow what will happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Åsa. You could just leave it on there, because Karin is coming just after you, so just don't touch it, don't touch it. because I'm always a bit afraid of microphones and technology, so, well, that's why I know this. Certainly there will be, the views of the European Commission will certainly come forward today as well, because there is one representative from the European Commission here in the room, Mr. Todd. I don't see him now. Oh, he's there, okay. And there will be 2 members of the European Parliament also coming in later. That would bring us certainly the view from those institutions. But also, in order to lobby, let's call it lobby, or to make influence on the European institutions, the social economy organizes themselves in European organizations. I mentioned my own REV, but there are quite a number of others within the social economy, and there is one umbrella organization for the social economy in Europe, and that is Social Economy Europe. And so I will now leave the floor with Karin Kruger, who will introduce, who's working for Social Economy Europe, and will introduce and tell you what Social Economy Europe is. Please.
Yes, hi. Well, thank you everyone, and thank you for inviting me to this seminar. So I'm representing here Social Economy Europe, which, as has just been said, is the European network that brings together the European representative organizations of the social economy. I'll give you a brief insight of what Social Economy Europe is. We have basically 3 types of members. European organizations representing the families of the social economy, so the associations, foundations, mutuals and cooperatives. We have European level networks such as REVES, that most of you here know, I suppose. So REVES is in charge of making the link between the public authorities and the social economy enterprises. And we also have as a member NC, which is the organization that represents the social economy enterprises in the insertion sector, inclusion sector. We also have a 3rd type of members, national organizations representative of the social economy, and we have them in France, Spain, and Belgium for the moment. Now, I've been asked not only to present Social Economy Europe, but to give a brief overview of the brief overview and look at the challenges of social enterprises growth strategy at EU level. So this is very wide. So to start with the general overview, I'd like to go back in time. Just to let you know that since the 1980s, the social economy has been in the EU agenda. Terms have been used, different terms have been used, such as the 3rd sector, 3rd system, to refer to the social economy. And mostly the main support to the social economy comes from the European Parliament and the Economic and Social Committee. The European Parliament has been very active and has adopted several resolutions. The latest ones and the very important ones are the resolution that was carried by Mrs. Toya, that was released in 2009, the resolution on social economy. But also last year, with the resolution, the adoption of a resolution by Mr. Sven Giegold, that will be here this afternoon, on the statute for European Cooperative Society with regard to the involvement of employees. Those are really 2 key documents that really raise issues on the social economy at EU level, and also comes with recommendations that are very important for all the actors of the social economy. Still in the European Parliament, there is an intergroup on social economy, where almost every 2 months, the European Parliament organizes meetings between these social economy actors and members of the European Parliament and representative of the other institutions. So that really helps in creating a debate around the social economy, put them really in the heart of the European agenda. This is very important. I told you that the European Economic and Social Committee has also been very supportive of the social economy, and this has been through years. They have created really documents that can be used as tools for the social economy. They have, for example, they have asked for the creation of a study on the social economy in Europe that was released in 2007. Now it's being updated, so it will just be released very soon. And this is really, these are really key documents to know about the situation of the social economy in the European Union. Now, obviously, the European Commission has also played a very active role in the development of the social economy and the understanding of the social economy concept in the European Union. And we can see it with the adoption of, with the work that is being done around the adoption of European statutes for the social economy enterprises. Well, it was something like after 10 years of discussion that in 2003 there was the adoption of the European Cooperative Society, the statute for the European Cooperative Society, and in 2011, in the Social Business Initiative, the European Commission committed on working on the statutes for the European Mutual. So they've just released a study. This study follows a study that has been done by the European Parliament, but working is being done. Concerning the European statutes of foundations, a feasibility study has been released, and the Commission has presented a regulation on the European Foundation Statute. Now, for the social economy actors, the social economy is composed mainly of the 4 families, which are the cooperatives, associations, foundations, and mutuals. And we see that the work that is needed for the creation of the European Statute of Association is not started yet. So we really push for this work to start. So this is a way of considering the social economy is by looking, the social economy enterprises is by looking back at the statutes. Now there are also other ways of looking at the concept of the social economy in the EU. And on the one hand, and this is the situation that we can find since the debate on the social economy since the 1980s. On the one hand, we look at social economy enterprises that are regarded as private actors that work alongside the classic capitalist private enterprises and the public sector. They are recognized as representing a different form of enterprises with specific ways of functioning, including specificities in their decision-making process, which is based on democracy, but also their very specific approach to the capital in terms of ownership and the usage. On the other hand, we can also see another way of looking at the social economy, and there we will stress the social dimension of the social economy enterprises. And indeed, the social economy enterprises have provided and are still providing socially innovative solutions to solve problems, societal problems, which are very prominent in the EU. And therefore, from this point of view, when we look at the social objective of social economy enterprises, the social economy is positioned as a pool of socially utility, which is made up of a broad range of private enterprises that have been created collectively to meet social needs rather than to remunerate capitalist investors. So we really have those two dimensions, and the role of an organization like Social Economy Europe has been, over the years, really to try to bring those two dimensions together. Yes, we are talking about social economy enterprises, we are talking about enterprises that can answer social needs, but really they represent a different way of being entrepreneurs. So basically one of our main messages is to say that the social economy is not, cannot be reduced to just a residual sector. We always say that we represent 10% of the enterprises, but it's not only in terms of quantitative, it's also in terms of qualitative impact of the social economy in the EU societies. Some social economy enterprises have really shaped welfare systems in the EU member states. They have provided and are still providing socially innovative solutions to help solve societal problems. And they really have built entrepreneurial models which are based on solidarity and which are based on long-term commitment with qualified staff, with people that are able to answer and to have an entrepreneurial attitude also to really do their work as social economy entrepreneurs. Now, 1 year ago, the European Commission has acknowledged the importance of the social economy enterprises, and they have released this social business initiative. And if you look at the European Commission website on the social business initiative, it says that the Commission wants to contribute to the creation of a favorable environment for the development of social business in Europe and of the social economy at large. Now, when we look at the Commission, when we look at the content of the Commission, we are just very confused. We are very confused because the terms used in this consultation are very confusing. They talk about, social enterprises, social business, social entrepreneurship, social economy, social market economy. Where are we? What are we talking about? Now, in this commission, in this communication, the Commission, it looks like the Commission has decided to adopt a very large conception of the social enterprise. And this, obviously, in order to respect the different national culture in the matter of the social economy. But we are very concerned that this broad conception will really blur the distinction between those traditional enterprises that do work with a social objective and the social economy enterprises that have been traditionally working in this field, but that really carry with them the other objectives inside the social economy. Basically, the democratic and solidarity principle, the primacy of the individual and reinvestment of profit into the social objective of the enterprise, as well as the collective dimension of the enterprise. These are the fundamental values of the social economy enterprises. We believe that if the social economy is able to play a role in maintaining a sound economic fabric at local and regional level, this is not only due to the fact that they have social objectives. We believe that if social economy enterprises have proven to be more resilient during the crisis, this is linked to their nature. Last week, the Economic and Social Committee organized a conference on social enterprises and the Europe 2020 strategy. And I will read to you 3 sentences that are in the conclusions of this conference because they really give an idea of where now the debate is at EU level concerning the social economy, the social and the social enterprises. So the EESC states that the multiplicity of definitions and concepts of the social economy and the limited public awareness of the impact of the sector have hindered its development. In the last few years, the EU has taken important steps to redress the situation, but much remains to be done, both at the European and national level. Hence, all future policies should support and promote the social economy, including social enterprises. Now, we believe that the EU institutions and member states should definitely continue to work for the establishment of an environment that will really enable the development of social enterprises and the social economy as a whole. And we believe that all the actions that are taken to support the social enterprises and the social economy as a whole should not be reduced only to the social business initiative. I'll just conclude by stressing that, especially in this time of crisis, we believe that the EU should be very ambitious and and should really recognize that the social economy enterprises as a whole are a key element of the European social model because they directly contribute to social and economic cohesion and change, because they have been able to create models that contribute to fair income and wealth distribution and active citizenship, and finally, because they are providing innovative employment opportunities and services to millions of individuals, including but not limited to marginalized and disadvantaged people, and this with a model based on solidarity. Last word, sorry. The EU has just released the Single Market Act 2, whereby it is committed to look at ways to monitor the social impact of social enterprises. Now, I think that this raises lots of questionings, and this is really to be taken into account in your work, because really this will have an impact on all of the people working in the field of the social economy and social enterprises. Thank you.
Karen, as you understood, she's working on that level, on the highest level, let's say, in the European level. And social economy is a grouping of different sectors. There may be some questions to her. Did you mention, did you mention the intergroup?
Yes, I did mention the intergroup, yeah. If you want, I can give you a little bit more details.
Please do, and tell what it is.
Okay, so basically, in the European Parliament, some MEPs have decided that they would like to know more about one topic, and here the social economy. And they have created a group which is called an intergroup. That talks about the social economy. And what is interesting in the creation of intergroups is that it brings together members of the parliament from all the different political groups. The bureau of the intergroups is made up by an MEP, an Italian MEP from the EPP group, but also a Belgian MEP from the Social and Democrat groups. We also have the presence of Green MEPs. So basically, it really helps in having the social economy at the heart of the European Parliament.
Okay. It shows that the social economy is recognized by all parties, or almost all parties in the European Parliament, and thereby also in the member states. Is there any question to Karin? No.
Okay.
I think it's important important that you made this introduction to social economy, particularly focusing the objectives, the societal objectives. I don't say only the social, but the societal objectives. And that's organizations, enterprise based on democracy, where members decide the objectives and the activities. We should have, according to the program, a point called Financing Social Enterprises, and the person from the European Investment Bank should have come. He has not been able to confirm his participation, will not do that. However, financing social enterprises, we will certainly discuss it in one of the cases, and I also think that Mr. Trott from the Commission will bring up at least the framework and the possibilities and opportunities to use revolving funds, loan financing within the social fund, hopefully. I won't anticipate what you're saying, but I just underline it that there are the possibilities of even expanding the possibilities of investment, speak about financial investment in social enterprise, which is a critical factor, which you can't do today, but in Sweden at least, but which you possibly can do tomorrow. So therefore, I hope that those that are not so familiar with the social economy at least have got some introduction about it. Now we're getting into social franchising, which I think is which is also social enterprise, but it's a method of development or dissemination of a model based on, how should I put it, good practices or particular concepts, but it's still social economy, social enterprise. I hope the Guy, Sven and the others that will speak about it do not contradict me too much on that. It's about franchising, and you may come up now, Sven, and tell us what it is about the social franchising. But you should know that I think that McDonald's and Intersport and there are other chains that are franchising, but this is social franchising. So it's, how should I put it, McDonald's with a human face, or Intersport with a human face, or it's another form of franchising. Okay, Sven, now you tell me what's right.
Keep talking a little bit more.
Okay. No, then I could get, well, I could speak for 3 hours. Now I will get back to a thing that Karin said. It's about the Social Business Initiative, and I said it in my introduction, and Karin spoke about the European Union Commission Social Business Initiative. It happens, by the way, that one of the representatives in their expert group, which is composed by 45 persons, is me. So there are 2 Swedes in the group. There are 3 Swedes actually in the group. One rather unknown, one is Avian Rodent of the Economic and Social Committee, and one is me, but I represent Rebus, and certainly this group has members from different countries, and a large part coming from the traditional classical social economy, but not all. No, and I think there will be interesting debates really about the definition of social business in the coming months. Sven, are you ready?
Yes.
Hi. I think you have to stand there
Okay.
because
Yeah.
people will see you. They don't have to see me, but they have to see you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Sven Bertilsson, and I need to say something about the organization where I come from. It's Companion. It's actually a national structure in Sweden, which is providing business support for social enterprises and cooperative, and we are located in 25 sites in Sweden. So, and I'm responsible for the regional. In the region of Gothenburg, which is the second city in Sweden. Now we are in the house of the first city in Sweden. I've been working with social franchising for some years, and now, as also said in this introduction, I'm also responsible for a project where we actually is trying to develop and start 5 new concepts in Sweden in order to increase number of jobs in social enterprises. And the reason why we're actually starting with this is this picture is about the challenges of unemployment in Europe and in our case in Sweden. And as I see it, every social enterprise is kind of miracle. You say that in English? Miracle. And because many of them are started by people with low business skills and hasn't been in labor market for years. So, and still there is a lot of them succeeding. But to really make an impact, we have to speed up the growth of them. So and that's the main reason why working with growth strategies as social franchises. It's just one strategy, of course. During the last year, we have been done working within the network of Better Future for Social Economy, which has been the managing authorities in Europe working together about finding new ways of promoting social economy and find out how we could have it as a better tool in structural funds. And we did some research studies within this network, and it was performed by the members of the European Social Franchise Network, where I also have a role, and all the people who are going to speak there are engaged in this network also. And what we actually found out that we estimated that it has been created 10,000 jobs in these social enterprises during quite a few years. And this is a number which is bigger than in most countries as the number of jobs in social enterprises in most countries in Europe. And they are fairly young enterprises. Most of them are younger than 5 years. And this picture is the growth potential. It's showing one of the cases. It's Kappmarkt in Germany, which has in just 10 years really increased and has been able to have an exponential growth by using social franchise as a method. I will say something more about that. I mean, you have the opportunity to meet Eva, who is sitting down here at the reception part also. When we talk about social franchising, we need to say something about it to explain it, what it's all about. When we talk about it, it's social enterprises, trade in social enterprises which has a social aim. And where there is a pioneer company which actually are a franchisor who starts to perform as a franchisor and has at least one franchisee. Somebody who starts replicating this company somewhere else. And they all have a kind of common brand, and within that common brand there is also shared values which they share, and shared goals, of course. But actually what is most important with social franchising is that it's actually a transfer of knowledge from one place to another. And so that's the potential that not every social enterprise need to be miracle. Miracle. Soon I will learn.
That would be a miracle.
That would be a miracle. And of course, in all these systems, there is some kind of agreement which make them economic viable, sustainable for a longer time. That they are able to create the support structure of themselves from the businesses which they do. Capmarkt is one of the successful, which you saw the growth rate of them earlier. We started in 1999, yeah, and now they have nearly 100 neighbor shops in all over Germany, mostly in south of Germany, and they are able to create a grocery stop in the neighborhood where normally there is no grocery shop, but they also employ disabled people in the system. And the franchisor GDD Syd, which is the cooperatives of sheltered workshops, is a rather strong organization which has been able to roll out this all over Germany. And the biggest one in number of employees is Kringwinkel here in Flanders. And they have these reuse centers and second-hand shops. And they have been able to grow since they are working together within this network under one brand. In this research which we made, we saw that they were in all kind of services. You could say that many of them in some kind of environmental or reuse, or many in health and social care and education, and a lot of. So now we're talking about, the research that we have done has been within the context of the social fund, but still many of them are in other fields and are not started just to challenge the unemployment. They challenge the challenges of energy and environmental fields. And many of them are working in the field of education and training for children, and Success for All is here also, and they are trying to start in UK social franchise also. We found 64 social franchises in Europe, and I don't say that there are certainly more, because there is very few from southern Europe in the research that we did, and it's also, do they define themselves as social franchisors? Not many do, because the concept is not well known and well spread. But the potential of social franchising is actually, and why we think it works rather well in order to create jobs in social enterprises, it's actually possible to combine the empowerment perspective of participation and democracy within companies, but still growing, because it's it's a way of actually keeping the small scale while growing. In the research that we've done, and we try to explain it, we said that there is 3 steps in the process of becoming a social franchise. And the first step is, of course, the pilot, the original company which starts. And the second phase is the development phase. It's when you develop your concept, you really find out how do we transfer the knowledge. You make manuals, you make the contractual agreement, you find your first franchisee, you learn from setting up the first franchisee how that works, and you work that into your model. And this takes something like 3-4 years, maybe. And then you come in the expansion phase. Then it just goes by itself, because you have a brand, you have the experience, it's easier in many ways. And the problem is that in the second phase, there you need the money. And what we have found out, that the European Social Fund has been a very, very important funding for the social franchises development phase. They have in many cases funded the pilots also, but what they actually did was much in the Equal program. Many of those 63, or at least 10 of them, were funded within the Equal program. When they reach this expansion phase, the third phase, then it's not that big problem to raise finance, because then they have shown the track records. It's easier actually to receive resources of financial resources from banks, loan givers, but the development phase is the real threshold. So it's about to find creative ways to fund this development phase and to raise credibility for social franchise. Still there is a suspicion. Jan talked about McDonald's, because that's his kind of impression of franchise, isn't it? Yeah.
One of
And we all get a little bit suspicious when we talk about McDonald's, doesn't we? And that's when we talk about social franchise, we also get a little bit suspicious. So we have to overcome that and to work on the credibility of the social franchises. To fund the development phase, when it works actually, it's when there is a possibility to make a real partnership, a mix of finances, because that is what always happening, is that there are different kind of financial sources, and social fund is one of them, and then there is the possibility of having ethical banks within it and others. The reason why I have engaged in this is that Companion as a support structure could engage in this and actually work. The way that we have done with those social franchises in Sweden, as Lemat, which we will hear about later, and Villa Vägen Ut, and Pernilla is sitting down here also, is that we have used the support structures that we are existing in different parts of Sweden, that we can help them to establish new franchisees in other parts of Sweden. And I think the support structures need to work in this field also. And actually, ESF was a very good financial resources for this development phase, and that was in the Equal program, because then there was a dissemination phase with the lower requirements of co-fundings when doing this job, writing handbooks, making contractual agreements, a lot of consultancy jobs when there is not a phase of training, because there's a development phase. And to reduce the suspicion is one thing, so that John next time doesn't say McDonald's, he says Lemat instead. Sorry, John. And one way, what we think in European Social Franchise Network is actually to be able to create a kind of code of conduct, which is kind of quality standard, how it works in this field, and to show for those that wants to become franchisees that social franchising is something which is ethical, right, and doesn't treat you in a bad way. At least to the final point, I think we have been able to show that social franchising is a really good tool for spreading knowledge between regions. This is something else than doing study visits. Every social enterprise which is successful has a lot of visits. People go home and make the mistake. This is a way of actually creating support structures for those who want to start their business in another region. And we have been able to import Lemat, which is an Italian concept to Sweden. Now we're bringing in CASA, which is the UK concept to Sweden, and I think there are several other ways to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. No, I think it's quite impressive, even if social franchising is not as big yet as the private franchising. But it will certainly surpass one day. What you say, it's really about replicating the good models that exist and creating miracles where they are not existing. But I'm impressed by the figures when I've seen the figures. Almost, it's not 100, but there may be 100 enterprises and more than 10,000 jobs created. And so it's one model. It's also a model in order to avoid mistakes. You shouldn't invent the wheel twice, 3 times. Sven, comment.
And I also think it's kind of, also these figures about how many jobs been created. As you saw the figures of Komosi and the figures of Katmark, which is some of the biggest one, and they are actually the oldest one, and they are something like 10 years, and most of those 64, they are just less than 5, so we could, of course, not all of them will be successful, but it's just half of them are successful. We will see a rather fast speed.
Yeah. And there have been proposals within the RED network in order to create a franchising chain on ethical products, for instance, all over Europe. Any questions? Did you understand everything? Yes, please.
Yes, I wonder, I also thought about McDonald's when you mentioned franchising, and then I can see this person in charge.
Maybe you should use the mic.
Yes, just a quick question. Then I think about a person in charge of the franchise company, yes. But could it be a group? Could it be another company or an organization? Or?
So the normal case is that it's the original organization which becomes the franchisor, and because they are approached by others, and then they come up, we might set up some kind of system to assist others to do it. But there are many models how the franchises work, because there is the model where the original company becomes the franchisor and have the agreement with each of them. But many of the systems are more of a federative organization, which creates that lemma, which we will hear about later, is there every franchisee becomes a member of a cooperative which has a franchise agreement with the franchisees. But there are also several examples that the original company doesn't have the skills or the capacity or the willingness to really become a franchisor, and they give it away and let somebody who has the competences or a couple of persons which are the original funders starting a new company and doing the franchising from that company. So there are many models.
I was taking up the question. Of course, an existing company can take over an existing, if they abide to the rules. If they obey to the rules, of course.
You know, it's social economy. They have to have the values, otherwise it will not work. Because we have a certain models too when we help them to set up the franchisor and working with the existing company really to extract what is going to be transferred and how do you express your values and how do you really assure that these companies are performing the businesses following your values. So that's the part of the development phase when we go into that. And so you have really to be sure that those values are performed in the right way by the franchisees.
And those values are the values of the social economy, of course. Any more questions? No. Shall we continue? All right.
Just Yes,
Yeah.
on this web page, which is the web page of European Social Franchise Network, you find several of case studies and the reports which we have made. I have a few with me in paper form, but there you can read a lot more. And hopefully it will be updated on new things.
Thank you very much, Ben. As this is about social franchise, we will get deeper into it and how it works in practice, because we have 3 practical cases that we want to present to you.